Welcome to Better Not.
On today's episode, we're talking about Flat Earth with Tyrone. Let's do it.
Let's go. Welcome to Better Not. I'm Will.
And I'm Zach.
And I'm Tyrone.
And we got Tyrone with us. This is a show where coworkers bet beers on topics you can easily Google the answer for. And today, what are we talking about?
Today we're talking about Flat Earth. I probably didn't hear about Flat Earth until last year, I think it was.
Yeah.
Well, when did you start working on the unit? Because I don't think I heard about Flat Earth until you started working on the unit.
And I don't think I knew much about it until you started talking about it.
So I want to say I worked 2018. Was it January 2018?
18? Okay. So 2 years. Yeah. Almost 3 years, 2.5 years. Yeah, that was probably about the first time I heard about Flat Earth. And the Illuminati too. I never, so like my mind was immediately blown because it's like, I've never heard of any
Your
of
mind
this
was
before.
Opened, Zach.
It was open and blown.
Opened and blown.
Yeah. So we haven't really like dove into like, we haven't really dove into like your history of it. Like, so that's what I kind of want to know. Like, when did you start believing in Flat Earth? What was the thing that convinced you on it?
If you still believe in it.
I do.
Okay.
I do. Let's see. It was probably like 2000. I would say 14 or 15.
Okay, so about 5 years, 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
So
ish.
what was, and before that, did you have any thoughts on it, or did you just accept
No. I was completely we're on a spinning ball, going through space, aliens, everything, the whole nine, just regular school.
Will you walk us through like what it is so that like if anyone's watching like they don't know what it is, or like or maybe they do, but like someone who doesn't know what it is, what is the flat Earth theory?
So the flat Earth theory is that we actually live on a flat plane.
Okay.
And this plane, everything about the model is different. So it's not suspended in space, which people will naturally do because of they're already being programmed with that belief of that we're in a universe. And it is also believed to be encapsulated.
Okay.
So a dome or something over
Yeah.
it, keeping that atmosphere in.
Keeping the atmosphere in.
Now, is it a solid dome? Like eventually if you went to the end, you could find it and knock on it, or?
In theory, I guess
Okay.
we find it impenetrable.
Okay. So
going back to what you were saying though, like origins of why you started to, we watched a video and it was round earther versus flat, or what was it? A marble. What'd she say? She said
rounders. I think she was calling
rounders.
people rounders. Yeah.
Do you
like
know the
people
terms?
Some globe heads.
Globalists or something like that. Global.
I heard globe tards. If you're talking about people that believe in the globe, but
okay.
I mean, that's not how I see it.
So what made you
believe
switch?
What you want.
Did you believe in the globe at first?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So back in the day, this actually was influenced by a coworker. I will not say anyone's names because I wouldn't dare tag them with this. But we used to be able to get on YouTube a lot more and more freely. And one thing about today, if you're trying to look up flat Earth stuff, it's hard to find stuff. Like good stuff because they started blocking it with the algorithms. It's weird. They actually did. But back then, so...
And when you say good stuff, you mean like things that would prove?
Not necessarily prove, but not make you laugh.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like where it's so mocking and you're like, this can't be serious. Where you're like, okay, this might have some legitimacy to it. There was a lot of people believe flat earthers don't believe in science.
Okay.
And actually it's reversed that. They believe in science on like the highest scrutinized level though. Okay. So they are doing these tests, but
so like facts rather than theories.
Right. As soon as they say like, as far as flat earthers, okay, it's a theory. Why are you pushing it as fact?
Okay.
And which is what most globe stuff is theory on top of a theory on top of a theory to explain their theories. But with that being said, we would get on, YouTube a lot. And the first thing I came across was the fake moon landing. And again, I don't think I had an opinion about it. I pretty much just thought it was real that we landed on the moon, but I never thought about it.
Will and I were actually talking about this the other day, and we both came to the conclusion, if I remember right, that it's possible that maybe they didn't. It's possible maybe they did, but I feel like if they didn't, it was just because everybody was trying to get to the moon, and the United States just wanted to say we were the ones that got there first. Yeah. Now, have they been there since? I think so, but...
Like, do you think that the first one was fake, or do you think all of them have been?
All of them.
Okay.
All of them. I feel like, to me, when you're watching these videos of the original moon landings or whatever, to say they're real, you're really trying to hold on to it. Because there were just a lot of things in it that were just didn't seem right. Like, for instance, the no fourth wall rule. The way they set it up was like on a tripod. Like, why would you do that if you're on the moon? Just set up like a little movie scene and dance around and prance around in a spacesuit? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you take that camera and walk with it and turn around and go, let's go see over here, let's go see over there? They don't do that. They just dance in this little like 4x4 square and literally never turn the camera around, not even by accident. Yeah, it's all edited that way, just like a movie.
I saw a recent video of them testing out the landers, and the new technology was able to sharpen and bring to life this old footage, and they were able to do it in a higher resolution. So, but when you looked at it, it was like that, where it was a handheld camera watching the lander, like the rover landers, like the cars that they brought up there. And it was really cool. So that was handheld. I think the first one maybe wasn't. You think the first one, they just put it on a tripod and they tested the jumps and stuff?
I don't know what they were doing. Yeah. They were like doing this thing over here and then doing this thing over there. And then they got in like the dune buggy and did that thing. Mm-hmm. But even the physics of what they were doing up there didn't line up to what they thought. They were supposed to be able to jump really high, and they could barely like get 6 inches off the ground. Mm-hmm.
What's the gravity up there? Isn't it?
There's no gravity.
1/6.
No,
it's 1/6. It's 1/6.
1/6 because it's smaller. It's a smaller. Like the moon is smaller than the Earth.
No
so for instance, it should have been in theory like that movie. Is it John Carter?
Yeah,
the one where he's in Mars, and
that's
how
movie.
he's able to leap here and there. That's what in theory it should be like. Okay. What you see is not that. The dust on like the landing, the lunar module, or whatever. It looks like it's just sat there. There's no blast craters. There's no dust on it whatsoever. I find that odd.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just too many things that just seem odd. And then after all of it, they say they destroy all the evidence and can't go back. Mm. And then you're just like, what are you talking about? And then they tell you that it's too much of a tedious process to even try to build the stuff back.
Yeah.
When I would believe you'd have a factory just producing lunar modules by now and selling them.
Yeah, I do think it's really interesting why we didn't go back. I mean, we've gone back. There were several missions after the initial one. Was it 14 that made it? No, Apollo 11, Apollo 12 is the first one, right?
I have no idea.
Oh, that's the truck. I thought it was my camera. So Apollo 11 was the one that almost got there, right? And that's the whole movie with Tom Hanks and all that. But it was Apollo 12 that landed on the moon, supposedly.
Allegedly.
I don't know. I don't know the numbers like that. I know that we went 5 times in like 3 years or something, like some like ridiculous number. And then that's the other thing is like when you start researching, now they're talking about the Van Allen radiation belts that they can't get past.
No, Apollo 11 was the first one. that landed on the moon.
Okay, so right now, you know, according to NASA and their scientists, there's a thing called the Van Allen radiation belts.
Okay.
And that goes around us, and that's in between us and the moon. And they're saying they don't know how to get through that right now safely.
Okay.
But apparently, you've been through it 5 times. Yeah. There's even, you could watch videos of astronauts saying, oh, well, it didn't matter because we didn't know it was there. And you're like, what does that matter? It's there if it's there, whether you knew it or not at that time.
It's very interesting. So I have a question. So on the premise of the moon, is the moon for flat Earth, is it in the dome or is it outside of the dome?
It's in it.
Okay. And is the moon flat or is the moon a globe?
From, you know, there's a lot of different theories still, you know, because even flat earthers will admit, like, we don't have every answer. Some stuff is we can't get there, we can't touch it, we can't see it. But from what some believe, basically it's its own light form as well, like the sun.
Okay.
And it is, from what it looks like, to me, it looks flattish. It looks round, but it doesn't look 3D.
Okay.
But at the same time, it looks like it could have some type of curve. I was almost thinking maybe like disc. Almost
Disc.
like,
okay.
You know, because they always say that you see the one side or whatever. But I've heard a doctor say that it was plasma before.
Okay.
Or another, you know.
I've heard it was cheese.
No, those you know, weird theories.
I always wondered where that came from. You know, like
the cheese.
Somebody's just like, oh, that looks like Swiss cheese.
No, but one of the interesting things that they say why it's its own light is at nighttime. If you put a thermometer in the moonlight, it's colder than when it's in the shade. So it's reversed.
In the shade, when the thermometer's in the shade.
Yeah.
So the thermometer in the moonlight is colder than in the shade at night, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Or shade during daytime?
No, shade at night. It's actually hotter when you walk out the shade. I mean, colder.
Interesting. Okay.
So it has some warmth to it.
It has no warmth.
Has no warmth.
Right. It's not reacting as if it's the sunlight.
Okay. I'm a little confused on that one.
Yeah, that one's confusing. So, well, going back to, that's interesting. Well, no, so
because the shade's always colder, right?
the shade is colder during the day, but the shade is warmer during the night. I've never heard of this.
I don't get it. I don't understand.
So, well, so we watched a video, and I'll link it down below for the YouTube people that watch this. It was a video that was it was scientists and flat earthers talking. It was, yes.
I think I might have seen it.
It was, what was it called? It was called...
something versus science or something.
I think
like
I might have seen it. They walk to the middle of the, I did see that.
It was a interesting conversation. It was more of like allowing everyone to say their part rather than a debate or anything.
Right. It was
and
more,
when it started turning into a debate, they stopped it.
They always stopped it when it got into an argument.
Right.
Which is kind of like what I want to have now. Like, because we're super curious about it. Like, it's a really interesting, like, thing, right?
Yeah. No, that's how I usually got into it. Actually, is well, you want to go back to that.
That's what I want to know. Like, what? So, like, yeah, you guys were like watching YouTube videos, but like, what got you thinking about that initially?
Okay, so just like like I said, at one point I was just like everybody else. So while I'm watching this, and I was kind of into it. I'm like, dang, I can't believe they faked this moon landing. They seems like they definitely at least 90% faked this moon landing, right?
That was the first thing you were looking at before Flat Earth.
Yeah, before Flat Earth.
Okay, I got you.
And then so this person, came to me and goes, "Have you ever looked in the flat Earth?" Okay. And so my immediate reaction was, "No. Why would I do that?" And she's just like, "Well, you should look into it one day." And I was just like, "Okay." Blowing it off completely. I'm like, why would I look at such a ridiculous thing? The earth is not flat. Water be falling off. Basically the same stuff that everyone that I hear regurgitated to me. Again, one day she's like, "So have you looked in the flat earth?" I'm just like, no. Like, you really want me just to waste some time in my life, right? Like, you just really want me to sit here and waste time in my life. So I don't remember what happened, but like I said, when the algorithms, you would start going down these rabbit holes, and
Right.
you know, the fake moon landing, it started leading into these other things, the Illuminati and all this other stuff. That's actually how I got into it.
Okay.
And so one day, this flat Earth thing just pops up. I click on it, and I just sit there and just look at it and listen to it. And as they were, you know, explaining some things. I think one of the things that caught my eye was they're explaining the horizon, how it always rises with a viewer's eye level. And I was like, you know, it's things that you don't think about as you live your life, you know, like, does that happen? You know, so, you know, when I went out and noticed, I was like, yeah, if you're standing on the beach, it's right there. If I'm on someone's balcony, it goes right there. If, you know, me and my daughter were in the airplane in February, and we, of course, we're going to look like, all right, here's our chance to see if we see some curvature here. Look out. Sure enough, you know, it's right in front of your face, which is a sign of something going straight out.
Okay.
Because if there was any slight dip whatsoever, at some point that gradually has to, you know, decline downward, where you would have to look down at a horizon. And it never seems to happen.
So when the sun goes down in the evening, where does it leave the globe, or the what did you call it earlier? The
dome or the firmament.
Dome, yeah.
No, it just goes out of your visual sight. So
Okay, so
in a flat Earth, the sun is much smaller and closer. Much smaller and closer. It's not 93 million miles away or whatever they say.
Okay. Okay.
Because
Smaller and closer.
exactly. See,
Interesting.
so the whole model is different, and that's why, you know, when you have to have these debates, I tell people, if they really want to know, they do kind of have to learn it to have a real debate, because most flat earthers already know the globe side.
Yeah.
You know, so they already know.
Oh, okay. So you're saying for us to like really talk about it, we need to know the details of what the flat Earth theory is.
Right.
So why don't you lay that out for us? So like, it's a plane, it has a globe. Tell us about the sun and the moon, and tell us a little bit more about like days. Like, how do days work?
Okay, so the sun and the moon, we believe, is much smaller and much closer. So a lot of us believe it's so much actually above the clouds. So like a lot of times if you look over a cloud, you can see like a hot spot from the sun actually shine on it. It's like, well, how far can the sun actually be? Another thing is the rays from the sun. You know, as an artist, you know, when you paint the rays from the sun, how they come down, if you trace where the location of those rays go, where it's going to take you to the source, that's not 93 million miles away. If it was 93 million miles away, those rays should be basically straight. Okay. You see what I'm saying? That's another theory or thing that flat earthers point out.
Does that account for the atmosphere or the globe, or?
Well, I've heard people explain, well, that's because it goes through the clouds and it shoots out and does all this. Again, I don't know how they proved it, and if you believe it, then you can believe that. They can explain it away. You know, science explains away a lot of stuff.
So interesting. So the rays, if it was so far away, they would be straight.
Right.
And then we're saying from a globalist standpoint that they're going to bend with the atmosphere. They're going to bend with clouds. But you're saying since they're so close that they're bending anyways, because now the sun is so close from
they're
planal perspective.
right. Like
Okay.
I don't know how you, like a starburst in a way.
Yeah,
I don't know how you explain it, but I see them because of my eyes. I had surgery in my eyes.
Okay.
So at night when I see like headlights, it's kind of starburst out.
Oh, did you have LASIK or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Savannah, my wife had that. So.
Is that because your vision's better, or it just when you have LASIK, that's what happens?
LASIK.
No,
you get like halation during the night.
Yeah, it's a side effect actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what is it? It's so dark, and then the light kind of hits the back of your retinas. Is that what?
I don't understand the science of it. Yeah, I was just warned that I'll see them, and then now I'm just used to it now.
So you see them with the sun then? Daytime?
Not so much. Mainly at night. Yeah.
So does that make it hard to drive?
No, not too much.
Okay.
No. So yeah.
Yeah, because so like LASIK, it's like a bunch of like little dots, right?
No, it kind of like just, I don't know. Maybe it's like when you have what do you call it, migraine?
Oh,
It kind of just is like just beams out. Like instead of just seeing a regular dot, it starbursts out.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we're trying to understand all of it before we like even can talk about.
So let's just talk about the model, right? So what flat earthers believe is we're on a flat disc, for the most part, is circular shape. And we don't know the depths of the floor, but we believe the earth is a foundation, not floating or suspending in universe. We are encapsulated by a firmament, and the sun and the moon are inside there. They're smaller and closer, so it works more like a local light than actually like just lighting up the whole thing.
Now, what would be on the other side of the
Outside
bottom,
the firmament, or
on the bottom of the flat Earth?
we don't know. It could be what,
Another Earth.
maybe infinite ground. We don't really know.
Okay.
It's like one of those things that it's kind of like when I go, well, what's in the middle of the earth? And then people go, well, it's a core. And I go, well, how do you know that? The biggest hole dug is 8 miles. That's nowhere near the center of the earth.
Yeah.
They told us it's a core, so we just say it's a core, but no one knows.
Okay.
So it's kind of like one of those unanswered things. Like, who knows? We've only dug 8 miles.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we don't really know. There's some religious beliefs that might believe some other thing.
Well, keep on going with the totality of like everything that has to do with flat Earth. Like, what else constitutes it? So the firmament.
Flat, so this is the other
light sources.
really, really big difference is, so the sun and moon are closer, and they basically rotate around us, and at different speeds, and they go in and out and all that stuff.
Now, you were saying it goes out of our eyesight.
Right.
Now, so does that mean there is like a certain distance we can see? How does it go out of our eyesight?
What do you call it? Perspective.
Perspective.
The vanishing point.
Vanishing point.
Vanishing point.
So it's so far away.
Eventually, you just can't see it,
You can't see it. Is that from?
and the light won't reach you anymore. So one thing that I see that solidifies this idea for me, because like I said, I always try to apply it for what I'm also seeing, because that's what I mainly go by in the end of the day is my senses. So whenever you see the sun, sometimes you can see the whole sun, right? The whole circle of the sun, and it's like still getting dark. And I go, how is that possible? Okay. Unless it's what it said it was, smaller and taking that light with it, where the light is just not strong enough to hit me full force anymore, like a flashlight in a way.
Okay.
But if that is really 93 million miles away, I see the whole thing. Shouldn't it be clearly daytime?
So for that, from a globalist standpoint, I think we've discussed is that as something moves, like if the sun was straight up, it's only coming through direct atmosphere. It's going to be the brightest it can be. As it moves around, right? Or, well, from our standpoint, the Earth is rotating. Right. So it's going through more atmosphere than it would if it was straight, right? So like this glass, for instance. It's your water vessel. I'm not going to use your glass. This glass, for instance. If I was going through direct here, the light would go straight and be at its brightest. But as you can see here, it's thicker. So the light isn't going to transfer through this as much. And it becomes thicker if I shine the light this way. So there's that much glass rather than this much glass. That's why the sun would look different at sunset than it does midday. But you're saying it's from distance.
Well, I'm saying
The sun is moving, it goes far away.
I'm saying it's getting dark before the sun even starts to set, technically.
Yeah, because it has more substance to travel through. That substance would be the atmosphere, more atmosphere at an angle. Coming down, it's like this amount of glass. It has to travel through that amount of glass rather than no glass. Like, basically.
I am not following your analogy whatsoever.
I'm kind of losing it too. Well, the glass situation.
It just curves around.
Well,
Right.
imagine-
That's what I'm saying. It's going to be
curves.
easier.
Imagine
That's
that the world is covered The atmosphere is a globe of glass. Okay. Like the round part of
What
this.
does the atmosphere have to do with the sun going around the...
Well, it gets darker before the sun is completely set because the sun has to go through thicker and thicker glass because more glass is being added.
It gets dark because the sun's going around the earth and it's going away from you.
But it's going through more atmosphere, which is why you can like literally stare at the sun while it's going down. When if you stared at the sun when it was up, your eyes would
I can't
melt.
say it's going through more atmosphere. And if it was, if you're saying just because it might be going at a 45-degree angle through the atmosphere, is that what you're trying to say?
It's
Because the atmosphere is should be equalish distance around the whole Earth.
no, it is the equal distance, but it's traveling at an angle now. So like if if you're watching this on YouTube, we're doing a lot of visual examples. This is a great plug for the YouTube channel.
If you're listening to this on the podcast,
if you're listening to this
probably have
podcast, you're
no
like, what
idea
are you
what's going
doing? Okay, so here is our globe. Here is the sun. I've placed, for the podcast listeners, I've placed the mule in front of me and a glass of water. Shout outs to Tent City. The mule is delicious. So the light is coming here, direct daylight. Now, the people on the side are going to get more light hitting them, or less light hitting them because they're on the side. So it's less light and they're having to travel through atmosphere, more atmosphere. The light is.
But wouldn't they be more like right here because they could see the whole sun?
The more sun would be right at like direct. I'm already starting to do the debating. I want to hear more of you.
Okay. So, wait, where were we?
I want to hear more of like what it actually is.
Okay, so the model. So flat, sun, moon, same size, smaller, closer. Dome. So this is the other thing. So in that dome, though, that's where all our constellation is, and then the North Star is in the dead center of it, and that actually turns above us.
The North Star turns?
No, well, the North Star is in the center, so you don't notice it.
The North Star
the
is...
whole firmament spins.
Gotcha.
So that's why the constellation keeps going around us, and that's why we always see the same ones, and that's why the North Star never moves.
Okay. Interesting.
So the North Star is the pinwheel, like that's like the dead center.
Yeah.
Is that what all the flat Earth people believe, or is that?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, what about that? Why? Why is that the center? Do you have any whys or?
Because it never moves.
Okay.
So like if you watch a time lapse stars, you know, you can see the circles.
The North Star is the one that does not move.
The one in the middle, yeah. And that's why it looks like that.
Interesting.
Now, again, we go to the globe and we go, well, why is that what we see if this is what the globe's doing, plus it's wobbling, plus it's going around the sun, plus that whole thing shooting through the atmosphere at 666,000 miles per hour or whatever, and we never see any different stars, and the North Star doesn't move?
Okay.
Now, they'll say it's really far, but let's see.
What is gravity to flat Earth theory?
A theory that they made up that so they can have a ball.
That they can have a ball, or that
so that it's possible to live on a ball. Because without it, water would obviously fall off. People would fall off. The whole thing would fall apart.
But what is it to flat Earth though? So if gravity is a
what's the
construct,
actual what's happening when something falls?
Well,
is what you're saying?
Yeah, like if you drop something, if you're trying to escape gravity by launching a rocket into space, what is gravity? Why? What is that to
basically in the flat Earth theory? We believe one in magnetism is around us. You know.
Okay, so gravity is magnetism.
Not that gravity is magnetism, but we believe in magnetism around us as a force. Okay. But the way things fall. We just believe in basically density and buoyancy. So if you're heavier than air, you fall. If you're lighter than air, you float.
Okay. I mean, there's truth to that for sure.
I know. It's 100% truth to that. There's a lot of examples
but that
of
only
it too.
kind of explains gas, though.
Why would gravity? What makes you go onto the gravity topic? Because I mean, gravity is just gravity, right?
But
No, 'cause
gravity, from a globalist standpoint, right? The other side of the world to us right now is like China or whatever. Like, you know, people always joked about digging a hole to China. So from a globalist standpoint, the other side of the earth is straight down. China, it's not China. But
It's not China.
Like,
It's
you think-
like Brazil or
Like you
something.
think airplanes
Not
and stuff
Definitely
are
not
down there.
Definitely
I
not
looked it up
Brazil.
before where the opposite side of the earth was
Yeah.
from my house, and it's like a chapel somewhere.
Okay. Well,
Anyway, it's
Anyways.
not China though.
anyways,
But they
we're-
don't know they're
we're
upside down.
standing in a globalist standpoint. We're standing up, and they're standing face down up from a globalist standpoint. So gravity is pulling to the center of our globe, our sphere, and a lot of things have pointed to this, like firing a bullet at mileage, like sniper rifles. They have to judge for the curvature of the earth to make their shots at a mile range. So there's a lot of factors that they've considered, but you also have I don't know. So when you think of gravity, it's like, what is gravity? And so from a globalist standpoint, gravity is a large body of something. Like it's mass.
Well, the scientists don't even know what it is.
But they've discovered gravity through like Einstein, right? Like the theory of
Through all that math stuff he
no
put on the wall?
Well, but through observation as well. So gravity is even being pulled, light is being affected by gravity when it goes around the sun. So like they've discovered that the refraction of light around the sun bends because that the sun has so much mass that it is literally pulling light.
How do they know that?
They've observed it. Like through telescopes.
See, this is what I was like. Okay,
But that's like
I'm taking a neutral ground on
that's
this 'cause I have no idea.
I know that. I mean, that's why
I know absolutely nothing about
because
this.
that's my original. That's as a flat earther. That's the next question you always go to, and see, like that's what people don't understand the difference between. That's the main difference between us and the normal population.
Yeah.
Because you'll get on Science News Weekly or whatever, and they spread out this cool. All these cool facts and show this cool, beautiful picture, and we're like, "Look at what we just discovered."
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like sometimes it's like, wow, that's crazy what they discovered. So, but going back, right, historically, so flat Earth was historically like believed in for the longest
For
time.
a lot of ancient
like going
civilizations.
back, you know, to Jesus era to before
Right.
Jesus era. I mean, the curvature of the Earth, like being a sphere, wasn't really a thing until like 1300s. I don't even know. Like
It was whenever the Catholic Church persecuted that one guy. I can't remember
Yeah,
who it was.
so-
Copernicus.
is it Copernicus or Galileo?
Well,
or,
I know
who
that
it
well, see, that's a lot. As far as the history I know, is Copernicus was controlled by the Vatican,
Okay.
and like, see, these are like the things that they don't talk about in school, and he didn't want to put his findings out there, and he was also forced to extend the universe. But I don't know. I guess that's off subject right now.
No,
I mean, I guess it's part of
well,
it,
yeah,
but
it's definitely part of
there's
the
so
history
many
of it.
dynamics to it.
it's Pythagoras.
Pythagoras,
in 500 BC validated by Aristotle a couple centuries later that the Earth was really a sphere. Eratosthenes could use his observations to estimate that he could estimate the circumference of the entire planet. So
Smart guy.
So yeah, the Greeks were the ones proving this, but it was, oh man, I wish I could find where it was discovered that it was the idea that was persecuted. We were just looking this up. It was
Yeah.
like it wasn't accepted by the church until like I want to say like 1300s or something crazy.
Yeah, I feel like it was
semi-recent.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
something. Yeah, what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so what makes us in that video we talked a lot about, or they talked a lot about the internet, right? Like the internet has brought forth a delineage of knowledge that this is what's going on, right? There's so much knowledge out there. Now we can devise our own theories of what's going on. Do you feel like the internet has brought forth these ideas, or do you feel like the internet has shed light and that the truth is out there now?
They shed light, yeah. Okay. I think there was like a flat Earth organization in 1980 something.
Oh, there is an organization.
Well, the whole like flat Earth society, I say stay away from that. They say all kinds of weird stuff on like so.
A society, like a club kind of thing, or
well, so part of the flat Earth belief too is that there is the government's also out there trying to kill it because they can't have people believing the Earth is flat. It just can't happen.
Why is that?
So that's actually, I want to shout out Savannah. That's my wifeful question of the episode. She asks, why? What is the reason why the government would do this? So she says, what benefit is the conspiracy that the government would hide that the Earth is flat? Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, if it is a conspiracy, if it is the biggest conspiracy ever, right? We've got SpaceX launching satellites. Right. They're using what appears to be a spherical Earth mentality. Like, SpaceX is a private entity. It's not government. They are using...
Well, even the last launch they had, though, they had NASA astronauts in there.
They did.
And I guarantee you that they have to get certain licensing and passes from the government before they can do anything.
But so why? Why would our government say that the Earth is... Like, what benefit do they gain from a spherical Earth versus a flat Earth?
So that's actually...
That's my biggest question.
There's multi-facets to that, okay? So it all depends... exactly how you kind of think of the flat Earth. So there's some people that believe that actually there's more land if you keep going. And that's why they keep us away from Antarctica. Because as we believe, Antarctica is the edge.
More land.
Now, is there people on that land or no?
Just their government, because Antarctica. Oh, outside that, no, it's uninhabited. But now you're talking controlling resources, things like that, right? So there's an Admiral Byrd that they sent out, I believe it was in the 50s, and he came back, and there's actually an interview of him saying this, that if you go beyond the South Poles, whatever that means, and keep going, that you find the land, he said, as big as the country that is uninhabited. And this is actually, I mean, you can look it up on YouTube, and I think it was in the 50s.
A bird?
Yeah, Admiral Byrd.
Yeah, not a bird.
Not
Admiral Byrd.
Admiral
I
Byrd.
don't know what that is.
A person.
Oh,
so
his last name. A bird told you this? Like, what?
A bird
you
came
guys
by.
are losing me this whole episode.
No, yeah, Admiral Byrd, yeah.
Okay,
and so you know, we believe the ice wall encapsulates us. That's why the ocean and all that don't fall off. So if you keep going, some believe there's more land. That's why they're keeping us away from Antarctica. And of course, Antarctica is the one place in the whole world that no one owns and won't fight about.
Well, we own it.
No, we don't.
Yeah, the United States owns it. It's got the most oil in the whole world.
No, we don't own it. There's a treaty with all of the
Antarctica?
nations.
No one owns Antarctica.
Own it.
No one.
The U.S. owns Antarctica?
Yes.
There's a treaty.
How?
I'm pretty
No,
sure. No, it's Alaska. Never mind.
We own it. No, we.
Yeah,
it's the 51st state.
So there's that theory. The other theory is...
So no one owns Antarctica? I don't think I knew this.
See, I know, right? And that treaty was written...
Is it its own country? This is a good bet. Can we do a mini bet on this?
Yeah.
All right. So this is the part of the show where we bet on like something that we talk about in the show,
And
right?
whoever loses this...
Whoever loses gives the other one a hydro chip, which is equal to a quarter of a beer. And when you collect 4 hydro chips, you owe the other person a beer. So we're going to look this up. I don't think anyone owns it. Okay. I'm going with it's its own country. Like it's its own country and its own continent.
Okay.
Which means actually that it has its own government, which I actually don't know about. Does it have its own government?
No.
I'm just gonna throw it out that we own it.
We definitely don't. The United States of America does not own Antarctica.
Doug.
This is how this podcast boils down to. We like, yeah.
No,
Please
totally fine.
do. Okay. I think Antarctica is its own country and its own continent. It is both in the same.
All right.
And you're saying U.S.
We own it, yeah.
So is it a territory or what would it be if the U.S. owns it?
Yeah, just land that we own.
Okay. What do you think it is?
I know what it is, so I shouldn't even be in this bet.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
I want to know.
I know we don't own it. No, nobody owns it.
So nobody owns it.
No, there's a treaty that was signed.
A treaty was signed that what? So
That
like it's a research colony? Like what is
it's completely supposedly neutral. Yeah, only research. All the military there supposedly can't. It's only for research purposes.
So there is military there.
whole
There
world
are,
signed a treaty on
there
this?
are.
All right. We got to look this up.
That's
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
We have our three sides.
This is what this is the other part of the flat Earth when we're going. Wait, hold up. This don't make sense either, though. It's not even sometimes about science. And I believe they signed the treaty a little bit after they put NASA up.
Okay. Antarctica, the southernmost continent and the site of the South Pole, is virtually uninhabited, ice-covered landmass. It's a former British research station turned museum.
It's a museum?
Um,
They consider that a museum?
Maybe I should type in who owns it. Is there Antarctica? What's special about it? What's the difference? Is it a country? Antarctica is a continent, but not a country. So that ruins mine.
Okay.
I'm out on this. The land is managed by the Antarctic Treaty.
All right.
All right. You win, good sir. A Hydro tip for you.
It's managed by a treaty.
It's
meaning what?
signed in 59 by 12 countries involved in
12
scientific
countries,
study on the continent at the time. It now includes 48 countries from around the world.
Wow. That's crazy. Interesting.
We're very nice when it comes to Antarctica.
Ooh.
We're very handshaky.
Is anyone born in Antarctica? Very interesting. It has no permanent residence. In 1984, Juan Pablo Camacho was born.
I think he was in my math class.
Was born at the Presidente Endoro Free Montalva base, becoming the first Chilean born in Antarctica.
Okay.
So, the theory on that is all the world governments are really just in team to keep us away from finding out what's out there.
Because there's something past Antarctica.
Right.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that...
Or it's eventually you come to where the dome actually comes down.
Okay.
Okay. So either the dome comes down or there's a lot more land.
Or there's a lot
Now,
more
what's on
land.
the other side of the dome? Or the polar opposite.
Yeah. So outside of the dome...
If that's the corner, or that's the end, then what's on the other?
If we live in a flat Earth, there's a dome.
It's because it's like-
what's outside the dome?
Well, it's water.
Water's outside the dome?
Yeah, and then heaven.
Oh, okay.
So
Is
a lot
there
of
a
this
religious belief in this?
this is biblical as well.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that you believe in the Bible if you're a flat earther,
Sure.
but the Bible does support flat earth, which most people don't even know. Even Christians don't know that.
Yeah. So Zach and I are Christians.
Mm-hmm.
Read Genesis tells you that he put a firmament in the midst of the water.
Okay.
Right? This is at the very beginning. He separated the waters from the water from above from the water from below. Right? That's our sea and our oceans and the waters above. Right? And then it says that, then he's in heaven. Now, the interesting thing is, it was probably in the 90s, the Simpson episode. Maybe some of you guys remember it. They're at a baseball game and they hit a baseball and it went flying up. It cracked the sky. All kinds of like water and wells started falling down and flooding the stadium. And now when I listen to it, it goes, the Simpsons broke this dream's reality wide open. And it's an interesting thing they say. But
which we all know that the creators of The Simpsons predict the future.
The future. Well,
with Trump down the escalator.
Have you ever watched that on YouTube?
No, I've heard of that.
There's one thing after another. It's crazy.
my theory
I've
is
heard about
because
this,
they are part of the elite and they already know. It's not that they're predicting the future.
Oh,
Okay.
Right.
So does that devolve into Illuminati thought? Is this related to?
Oh yeah. It's all connected. Like once you start getting into it, and then it starts to actually start make sense. But like I said, when I saw that happen as a kid, my mind was just like, why did all that water fall out? I didn't know what was going on. Like, was it raining? But now that I know what I know now, I'm like, oh, he cracked the firmament. The water from above came through. And then they told you broke the reality wide open because this is where you really live, even though they told you, you're on spinning ball and probably came from a monkey or whatever, Because
this is like so like mind blowing to me. I'm just like, I don't even know
because they know the truth. That's the thing, and the whole thing is about keeping us dumb. So one of the theories also about flat Earth is they're trying to make you feel insignificant. And so
they being
the Illuminati, the elite, because so a lot of this is also, evil versus good, devil versus God, because it's all about deception, right? And when you look at the Bible, it's about deception. He gave the world to Satan to deceive everybody, right? Well, I always ask somebody, if it's not where you live and where you came from, what is a bigger lie you can possibly tell somebody? Right. And this is all about evolution, Big Bang, infinite space. Right. So what you're doing is you're eliminating the thought of God from people, because now even I used to be basically before all this more agnostic, almost atheist, I would say, because I used to always go to science and be like, the earth is 10 trillion years old. The Bible's 2 days old. How can this be true? Like, oh, there's Mars. We're going to live on Mars one day. There's aliens and all these people smarter than me. I'm nothing. How could this be true? And, so it's really biblical in a way, because we go back in the days, right? We would look up and be like, oh God, we thought of him when we looked up. Now I look up and, oh, there's another earth somewhere up there, probably 100 of them. And another me. There's another me up there, right? And so you just think you're on this ride of nothingness. Enjoy it while it lasts.
So there's more than one flat Earth domes out there.
I've seen other beliefs where they no. This is all we have. See, that's the thing. The belief is this is us. Everything was put here for us. That sun, that moon is all for you. This is what you get. And
but there's other for other people or other
no
sort of
you mean like
races or something?
No, flat earthers don't believe in aliens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we don't believe. If
That's
anything,
across the board.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah, because we don't believe in space. And if we had to believe in aliens, it'd have to be something like they're from Antarctica. So something more like that.
Okay.
So they're more alien.
Undiscovered because they're over there.
Undiscovered.
Right. For the most part, we believe it's demons that they call aliens.
Okay. So that was some of the things that they talked about in the Flat Earth versus Scientist video that we watched. Was the religious component kept coming up, but the Flat Earthers were saying that it's more than just the religious component. So
meaning the scientific component as well, or
they were saying like that they had proven some of these things through going out to, like you were saying, the horizon,
right? Laser tests across really big lakes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they talked about it. It wasn't the Dead Sea. It was another.
It was a Californian lake.
It was in California,
yeah.
One of the really salty lakes that you can't really go into. And I guess they tested that laser thing on that lake because it's so big. Right,
and the what do you call it? Like the salt flats, those big. Where I don't know where they're at, but so miles and miles and miles of just flat area. When it rains, it creates a reflection, of the sky, and it's perfectly symmetrical. Which we all know, any mirror, if you warp it at all, it's gonna warp that reflection. You never see a warped reflection sky. Never.
Okay. So this is what
I have a question. I gotta write it down.
Wait, so many people have questions.
You go.
I do believe that the Earth is flat. And Will's gonna look at me.
Wait, you do?
What? All right,
And
excuse me.
I believe that it's round. I think it's
Okay.
more of a spiky ball.
A spiky ball.
Now, that being said, because you have the depths of the oceans,
It's
you
like
have
a
the
coronavirus?
you have the heights of the mountains. That being said, it's so big
To the
that when you
redwood forest.
okay, when it's so big that when you condense it down, that it's round in shape. But it has flat parts. It has, heights and depths. So in sense, I do get where you won't see it bend the sky. We were talking about the water when you look into a mud puddle or a lake or whatever, because the Earth is so big. So yes, it's curving, but it takes miles and miles and miles for that curve to actually happen.
But that's actually not true.
Okay.
Because, so within like 50 miles, I believe it's, I want to say 1,600 feet of a drop.
Okay.
Within 50 miles.
Depending if you're on a flat
But a
plane.
drop of what?
Well,
A drop of what?
a curvature drop. So from the point where you're at 50 miles out, it should be 1,600 feet below your view level.
But you don't believe that.
No.
You think that just distance
No, you
is
can still
why you don't see it.
You can still
right?
see things that you're not supposed to see. Even distance, like, so for instance, they always told you, right, that ship goes, when it goes out the horizon, you can't see it, that it went over the curvature.
But that's if you're exactly at the same height.
But it's not true at all, period. They just told you that as a kid because it was cool. See, when you bust out a camera and a telescope, you can see the whole ship still. You can see as far as your vision is going to push you. And of course, atmosphere will start to blur out stuff. So when people go, why can't I just go look at China? It's like, well, by that time, your vision's going to be so blurred out. There's no way you're going to see anything in China.
But what is atmosphere to you?
What is it? Just whatever in the air.
Air?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
air particles. I don't know. Smog. Yeah, different elements of whatever.
It's just so hard because, like, it's easy to say that atmosphere is the reason why we can't see that far rather than curvature.
But when something's supposed to be out of sight and it's in sight, how do you explain that? Like, say you're looking at a lighthouse at a distance, you go, okay, this lighthouse is however tall, but it's actually below this many feet of curvature, so I shouldn't see it. And then you go look through a telescope and you see the whole thing. Now, the science does
So you're
answer
saying-
it for you.
You're saying 50 miles out, you should not be able to see
'Cause
the
it's-
lighthouse.
It's the
this-
elevation.
So
though.
across Michigan Lake.
Are you factoring in for your height of 5 foot?
Oh
certain-
yeah. There's calculators on the internet, curvature calculators. They'll do all that. You put your height, your elevation, even world record photos that they've been taking. Like they'll be hundreds and hundreds of miles away, and you're like, how do you see that thing from hundreds of miles away?
If you're up high enough.
The whole thing. In some situations, you are that.
Well, the
absolutely
math
correct.
changes if you're on top of the Empire State Building. It's clear view. It won't be because it's New York. But if you're on top of a lighthouse, which is what, like 10 stories tall? I don't know how tall those are, but you're going to have a higher vantage, which will definitely let you see further.
But see, wouldn't you have to actually do this? See, this is where, when it comes to the globe, they do science backwards. Wouldn't you actually have to go, look, see this thing? If it was flat, I would be able to see it. I can't see it because it's curved below the curvature. Do that. Show me something you can't see because it's below the curvature that you should be able to see if it was flat.
Well, that's when we get into the other countries, but it's easy to say you can't see it because of the air.
No, you just get a telescope and see it. So you can use something short, like, something 100 feet tall, and move it a few miles back where it's going to be
what about,
below
like,
a couple hundred feet, and
something
tell me
like-
you can't see it.
Something like Miami to
Why would you have to
like
use
some of the
Miami?
Caribbean. The Caribbean islands.
Okay, for instance, Michigan.
You should be able to see the Caribbean islands
Right.
from Miami.
Right.
Those are close enough
Close enough.
to say that the air quality isn't why you're not seeing them.
Right.
It's the curvature of the earth is why you're not seeing them.
Right. And you'll be able to see it.
They can't see it, though.
Yeah, they can. okay, like for instance, here's another one across Lake Michigan, right? The Chicago skyline, I believe it's 50 miles away. At least maybe you should be able to see the top part of it, the Chicago skyline.
But you should be able to see a person on the ground. If there's nothing obstructing your vision, you should be able to see.
If it's completely flat.
If it's
right?
flat,
If
yeah.
it's flat.
You can. Well, until they're too small and you can't see them no more.
Well, that's the telescope aspect.
Well, then yeah, you'd be able to zoom in on the telescope.
What?
Just like didn't they tell you in school that boats always go over curvature when you don't see them anymore?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you can get a telescope or a camera and see the whole thing. That's a lie. They just lie to your face.
Invest in a telescope.
You know what? What it is that we have believed this supposed lie, right, for so long that we don't question that.
Right.
And that's what we were just talking about that when
we were off air, yeah.
like I was the psychological part of the flat Earth is what I actually got into the most.
Okay.
Which is what trips me out the most is because of when they teach you about the globe, it's specifically chosen to teach you this at that age on purpose, which is 5, right?
Yeah.
Because we all know what
middle school though. Middle school is when you start really talking about
middle
the planets and stuff.
No, 6th grade.
No,
6th grade?
Before
That's middle school for us.
No, okay.
I'm from the South.
Okay,
so
now
6th grade is
wait.
middle
So
school.
it's actually deeper than that. So it's actually before that.
Okay.
Well,
It's
you know what? Actually, no, we did go into one of those dome things in like 3rd or 4th grade.
No, see, you guys are so wrong right now. This is how brainwashed we are. No, I mean, it's serious.
Sure.
You learn about it all your life. Okay, every cartoon. See, okay, so now let me just tell you, I have a 6-year-old daughter.
Okay.
She believes the Earth is flat, of course. Most people don't believe the Earth is flat out of birth, but this new generation might because of the growing population of it. Someone like my daughter.
So when you have taught your daughter this, do you tell her like when you go to take your test, say that the Earth's round, but it's not?
Well, she hasn't got to that point because she's in kindergarten.
Oh, okay.
I think she knows. Seems like, I don't know. I never really thought about that. I just tell her to always ask questions.
Yeah,
I go, just always keep asking questions. Don't just follow up your questions.
To me, that's what this boils down to: is to always think critically about life, right? Even with a religious perspective. Like, so I'm Christian, but like, I always think critically about life. Like, my religious beliefs have been kind of formed through critical thinking, but like, I think we definitely should think critically about our day-to-day being.
True. But the thing is about the globe, they took that from you because this is what they did. And
but my thing is why? Why did they take that from you?
Because they need you to believe this bull.
But what benefit do they get?
Well, we went over resources, right? Now here's another one. They make $6 million a year doing nothing.
Selling globes.
Selling globes.
There you go.
Selling globes. Like
they're like, we're gonna make so much money selling these globes that we're gonna tell
$54
everybody
million a day.
When I was watching the debate video or the discussion video, again, I'll link that down below. Was that I kept thinking like what does the government get out of it? I just don't understand.
Well, again, it goes to the whole.
Is it the government or is it the Illuminati?
It's the same thing.
The government is the Illuminati.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean.
All right.
So that's why NASA is a government organization, right?
Okay, hey, hang on.
But so if what about the private industries?
Wait.
You go.
If the government is the Illuminati, is the state government Illuminati also?
Well, not necessarily. I think on the lower levels, it's a little different.
Just the big.
When you're becoming presidents and you're calling shots like that, yeah, you're part of secret organization.
Okay. All right.
So don't tell your kid he's so smart he could be the president because he can't. But it's the same way for astronauts that go in space. And they're put
part
to
of
this,
the Illuminati
right?
also?
They're part to this secrecy, and it's all compartmentalized. That's why, like, I'm pretty sure there's people in NASA that think they're legitimately doing what they're saying they're doing.
Well, so NASA is, you could say, obviously, it's a government organization, but now you've got private entities trying for space, right? You've got SpaceX. You've got Virgin. You've got several others.
Is Virgin trying to do that?
Virgin Galactica.
Virgin's trying, yes.
Virgin Galactica, or whatever the heck that's called, it's been out for a while. And he's the same thing. These are all just billionaires that are liars.
They are billionaires, yes, but they're the ones funding attempts at space, right? So
Yeah, but there's profit for them to do this.
there's profit in their enterprise, which is either bringing people to space, which is what Virgin is trying to do.
It's never happened.
Is commercial space flight.
This has been going on since the 80s.
But what about satellites? What are satellites from a flat Earth standpoint? What are satellites doing up there? Why can we see them
Are
moving?
satellites within the dome?
Yeah. Everything is. They can't get outside of it. They can't actually get outside lower Earth's orbit.
Is there a possibility?
Wait. You said orbit. What is it orbiting if it's a flat Earth?
Just around the Earth like that.
So in circular motion?
Above us like that, yeah.
So is there a possibility that there is somewhat of a space within the dome?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but I mean, like
And
I said,
that's what the sun's in, right?
right, and
Okay.
and yes, you'll
So you can go
see
up to that
other
point.
things and like the Milky Way or whatever.
So you can go up to that point and then you would reach the dome.
Well, I don't know if we can reach it. The theory is that they have before, and that's
Okay.
why all this stuff kind of started
What's
when they first launched their rocket. So NASA was first started by Nazi scientists.
Okay.
What?
I know nothing about this.
Warner,
whatsoever.
Warner Van Braun. He's the guy who made the V2 rocket.
Okay.
Yeah, so people
I'm going to trust you on this one
you can Google it
because
shit.
I know nothing about this whatsoever.
What are they doing with the money if it's not being used for space? Or are they actually blowing it on
They're
space?
pocketing it.
Okay.
What would you want to do with it? Pocket it, right?
I'd probably buy some beers at Tent City with
Yeah.
it.
Probably.
Yeah. I'm just trying to a lot of my thought process is more so why than it is more so are they? Because I truly do believe that there are mega government conspiracies. There are for sure
Oh, yeah.
weird stuff going on
This is
in the government.
biggest.
But it's hard it's easy. That's easy to believe. But it's hard to believe, especially is the earth round or flat? That to me has no has no merit, you know.
But okay,
you know what I mean?
what if you looked at it let's go to the where this is. I go more on this level, biblical, right?
Okay.
So if you go into the Illuminati, we're gonna go to the Illuminati a little bit.
When did the Illuminati begin? Was it?
So
it
when and what is the
actually
Illuminati?
It was like
That's
the
an excellent
1700s or something like that.
Okay, so
But
1700s?
Yeah, it's like when it
so
originally
it originated in the United States.
but it
United
kind of
States founding.
transformed into this whole thing, which if I say elite, more people are able to connect with that word.
Sure.
It's the same thing though.
Yeah.
So the whole thing behind that though, if you go the religious route, is obviously the elite have all the money, right? Well, if you look at the Bible, you're not supposed to really cherish money and have all this power. So one of the theories is to have all that power and all that money is they worship the devil. So the Illuminati, they worship devil, the Baphomet demon, and things like that. And that's why they always throw up the all-seeing eyes, and people think this is an okay sign, but it's a 666.
Okay.
So that's like 1 6 2 6 3 6. So when you start thinking about that route, and then you go into the Illuminati being the president or the NASA or the space, right? And then you look at what space does is it doesn't separate everyone from God. Like you said, you believe in God, but every atheist needs to believe in this system. They can't believe in a flat earth, because how are you going to believe that you're in an encapsulated living environment that you cannot leave and it was by accident and someone didn't put you in there? I mean, you could try, but that would be a really big stretch if this was everything.
Okay.
And it also changes your mentality, right? Because if you knew for a fact that this was everything we have, would you not walk around a little bit different? Would you not think about money different or what you're doing a little bit different compared to someone that goes, well, I'm just lucky I'm here, I'm gonna enjoy the ride, and whatever, life is nothing.
Now let me ask you this.
I love that preface. Let me ask you this.
Where does Scientology fall in this? Because I know
That's a good question.
I know Scientology is supported by what we would say the elite, right? Most part, Tom Cruise.
Sure.
Like these big names, you know? So is it a branch off of the Illuminati, or is it connected?
You know, honestly, I don't know. I never really got into Scientology. I don't even know what they believe, to be honest.
Okay.
But it could be because I know
they believe that basically alien or like the
shapeshifters.
Well, I don't know what that is, but they believe that there's this all power that will eventually come, and they will control the earth, and they are preparing themselves for this person coming, and they're going to support this person as best as they can because they know that they will be ruled under them.
Oh no, that has nothing to do with flat Earth. Illuminati, I don't know.
Okay.
Possibly something.
Yeah.
So maybe not flat Earth, but Illuminati maybe. I feel like they're more of Illuminati.
I just feel like if there is an Illuminati, it has to have some connection with Scientology because it's the same population.
Right. I see what you're saying. That connection usually is pretty close to something like that. Oh, you want me to answer his question, Drew?
What was his question?
That circumnavigating.
Oh, I think that's a great question.
Okay.
Kendall off camera asked a great question about circumnavigating the flat Earth.
Okay, so first let's talk about circumnavigating the globe. There's a misconception. One is no one has actually circumnavigated the globe in a perfectly straight line. So no matter what, they always had to go around countries and make twists and turns and all this stuff and then end up back to where they were, right?
Okay. Well, how could you? Because you would have to cross ocean, right?
Right,
so
exactly.
There's no way that you could.
There is no straight line.
Are we talking about boats or planes?
Well, Christopher Columbus, right?
Well, for sure, like a boat's not going to travel a straight line, but what about a plane?
So far, a plane hasn't done it. I don't know if they can do it. There is no documentation of one doing it, making a beeline and going, "Here I am, right behind your ass." It's never happened.
So, are the airlines as well covering up the conspiracy?
The airlines most likely are clueless because, so first of all, speaking of flights, when an airplane flies, right, it launches, it levels off, and it goes to its destination. Okay. It doesn't have to dip down to follow a curve or anything like that. And I know people are gonna go, well, I've heard two theories. No one really knows. They either say, well, that's because of gravity, right? And my rebuttal to that is, okay, even if you want to use that for elevation purposes or why it keeps at the same altitude, that wouldn't explain why it keeps it level. Like, that means it has to bring, the gravity has to know to bring the nose down. You know what I'm saying? It could do like the weird floating 360, I guess, around it.
So you're saying that if they were not curving down, that you would just fly
into space, right?
Out to space.
So you'd have to constantly adjust to keep your altitude. Now, the other reason they explain away is technology. Well, if you ask,
it's probably a good question for your father-in-law.
If you ask old pilots,
being a pilot,
they will say, "Well, I didn't have to tip down either." So
I know nothing about flying planes, but I would assume
for
that
the flights,
planes probably have a natural tendency to go down on their own. So maybe that accounts for the curvature of the Earth. I don't know, but in my head, the only logical thing is that's what would.
They fall at the perfect speed.
For sure, interesting, but I feel like we're a little out of touch with airplanes. But here's what boils down to my mindset is, okay, whether you believe flat Earth or a globalist mentality, what does it mean for you day to day? Like, let's summarize this and finish the podcast up. How do you live your day to day? Like, what does this change things? Does this enlighten things? How do you go about your day as a flat Earth thought process?
Most days I probably don't think about the shape of the Earth.
Okay.
But I would say that I feel like it's brought me closer to God because of it.
Okay.
Because now I don't think of all that alien stuff or that, I came from a big bang or whatever the case may be. I believe that there's more to it now.
Okay.
I guess it made me look at everything a little bit more special. Yeah.
Is there a religion for flat Earth, or is it kind of just?
There's a sect of Christianity.
Yeah. No, not that I know of. That's like just flat Earth church or something like that. I've never heard of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can, back to the circumnavigating thing, you can circumnavigate a flat Earth.
Okay.
So, not only has you did the zigzags, but no one's done it pole-wise. No one's circumnavigated north and south. You know why? Because there is no South Pole. Because you can't do it. It's impossible.
Okay. So there's no center of Antarctica, is what you're saying.
Right, because if it's not a ball, so how are they going to go this way? If this is what the Earth looked like, how would you circumnavigate, a pole way? The South Pole's like this. You couldn't, but you can do it this way.
Always going to be the South Pole wherever you go.
So in a flat Earth, the center of the Earth is magnetic north. So as you come out, like there's oceans out here and land, as you travel, the compass will slightly keep turning you to where you circumnavigate like that, and you end up back in the same spot, east to west.
Question off camera.
So it's round, it's just flat.
With peaks and valleys. With peaks and valleys, of
I was
course.
picturing like finding the edge of the ocean and falling.
No, because the theory is there's an ice wall that encapsulates us, which is Antarctica. Yeah, because it's like 300-foot ice wall goes around us.
Now, what is the top of the dome made of? Ice also?
We don't know.
Okay.
We don't know.
Okay.
Which, we just don't know.
Well, with that,
I think there's a lot to unpack there.
It's gonna be a weird one.
Yeah, this is next level for sure. Well, I have not discussed this with anyone, and that's why we wanted to discuss it with you, because we were curious.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I feel like leaving the show, I'm still as lost as I was before.
Oh no.
I still don't know what to think about this. I haven't changed my opinion on anything.
It really is. Do you feel like it's a government conspiracy or not?
I don't know. I think that the Earth is round.
I think that's a new reality that people are starting to consider. Is like, I think questioning our world is necessary, but I think a lot of this is 2020 right now, and I think that questioning everything is something that we're doing. Like we're in a pandemic right now. We're in crazy government stuff that's going on.
Questioning if the pandemic's even a pandemic.
Exactly. So
pandemic.
Well, but so I think questioning our world is definitely something that we want to do, but obviously we want to be thinking about others and whatnot. But I really appreciate you bringing up these thought processes, and that we can debate them, but not even debate them, but just like hear them.
Yeah, just talk about
them.
Yeah, explore them is a great thing to mention there.
No, I honestly think I'll go through my whole life never convincing the Earth is flat. So
it's hard. It's hard.
It is. Yeah, I understand it's a rarity.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you being on here today.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Cool.
Yeah. And that fits in with our podcast, that coworkers bet at beers. I mean, we didn't really bet today, but we had the mini bet. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Tyrone, for being on the show today.
Yeah.
It was definitely interesting to talk about. I love that we talked about it, not debated it or shut it down, because it's worth discussing the things that challenge us day to day, right? So I think this has been a good talk, and I'm glad this episode is going to be way longer than our normal episode. So I appreciate you being on.
But it was a good one.
Yeah, I appreciate.
Yeah,
everything. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
So thank you
that's
so
it,
much for
guys.
listening. Yeah.
And we'll see you next week. We are going to be talking about bees again. I think we're going to we're going to revisit bees.
We're going to revisit bees because they've been peeing all over the place.
Nah, it's not about pee this time. It's about the wax.
About the wax.
So,
all right.
yeah, we'll be talking about that. And we'll see you guys next week. See ya. Peace.
Hey everybody, it's Will. I'm sitting back and editing this podcast, and if you're wondering why it came out late, it's actually because it had a lot of audio issues. We were actually still recording at Tent City Brewery, and I had a lot of reflections off the other microphones, and so thank you so much for bearing with me on the audio today. I want to shout out Tent City. Thank you so much for hosting us for 2 episodes. They've invited us back. We want to do another episode there. So send in some information on what you guys want to hear if we do another one there. And we're just so grateful to have recorded there. And we appreciate everything that Kendall and the crew there did for us. And we're just over the moon to be able to do something like that. So again, thank you so much for dealing with the audio issues and bearing with it coming out a little later to try to fix some of those things. And thank you so much for listening.